You go.
Hello, everyone. Good day, wherever you are in the world. Good
Hello.
morning, good evening, Christopher.
Hello, Caroline. Thank you.
Well,
Thank
yeah,
you. Yeah, and wonderful to see you today.
wonderful to see you as well. Oh my, it feels so refreshing. And currently in our world, especially, right, with everything that's happening. And I'm so grateful that we've been doing this Dandelion Reflections podcast for the past almost a year and a half.
Right.
And I always look forward to seeing you and having some enlightening discussions with you and our guests as well, when we're
Yes.
lucky to have some. So today, yeah, it's going to be a great one-on-one discussion, Christopher, because I'm sure it will echo many people's concerns. We want to talk about division and how it's not actually helping us finding constructive solutions.
Hmm.
Division leading to polarization, and we see that happening in the political scene a little bit everywhere, and also social settings. All kinds of violences have been erupting. It seems like in an accelerated way over the past few years. And I
Right.
have the feeling that I'm witnessing so many tragedies that I never thought I would during my lifetime. I
Hmm.
really feel like we're living history, things that we used to read in our history books or learn about in our history classes. There's a repetition of similar scenarios that are happening again. And I think it's important to pause and look at those um, in order to access our resilience and come up with some constructive solutions
Yes.
within our shared humanity.
And we've been thinking about and discussing if this was a good idea to have this topic
Hmm.
because it's easy to slide off into a political discussion, which is not our intention. I really want to make that very, very clear.
Right. Hmm.
Uh, but to put some light on the tools that governments and regimes use to divide, to steer up emotions in the people,
Yes.
to make it easier to bring through certain legislations that would not go through in calmer times. And we've seen that multiple times, many, countless of times in
Hmm.
our history of the past X number of thousands of years.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new. This is nothing recent,
Hmm.
but these are techniques that have been used by regimes and governments in
Hmm.
many uh, thousands of years.
Can you tell us more, Christopher, about those uh, emotions that are provoked by those regimes or people in power?
Hmm. We've I What I think I have seen is that in the past years the tone on social media has become very, very negative, very condescending, very aggressive. And
Hmm.
at least here in Europe, what we hear is that there have been uh, actively groups of actively uh, here I am again looking forward. Well, there are groups that are controlled that actively uh, do trolling and negative commenting on Facebook or on social media
Hmm.
to steer up emotions, to
Hmm.
really divide, to
Hmm.
say something like you are either with us or against with us or against us. So that's the point that we divide into two
Hmm.
um, groups.
Right.
either
Mm-hmm.
for or against. But as we all know, if we just take ourselves the time to reflect a little, that's not the case. The world is much more complicated than that. And
Mm-hmm.
but our brain uh, is loves the easy solutions, and it also wants to save energy. So we usually tend to go with easy answers to very complicated questions because we usually don't really like to engage in thought processes that take longer than 20 seconds. But
Mm-hmm.
many of these questions need actually a very differentiated view and discussion and looked at from different angles because there's not one easy answer to these questions that we are
Yes.
in facing right now. Isn't that so?
I agree with you, Christopher, and thank you for such an important reminder about how our structures and even our minds have been conditioned to be binary, to think in a binary way. Yes, no, male, female, pro life, pro choice. I mean,
Hmm.
these are artificial binary categories. As you said, life is multidimensional, more complex than that, but it's meant to, yes, stir up emotions, antagonism, so that
Hmm.
people can divide and conquer. It's really about control, right? So we need
Yeah.
to see that and step out of that. We need to transcend that and abolish these divisions. Republicans, Democrats, and again,
Hmm.
we're not talking about specific sides here, but just as an example, well, not isn't everyone wanting to be democratic? And why do we use these terms? In people who are pro-choice should also be pro-life in a way. Why are we saying? Why are we, saying one is pro-life, the other is pro-choice, implying that pro-choice is not pro-life? I mean, it can be subtle, but binary is just like binarism is not constructive. And yes, it
Exactly.
divides and creates more conflict.
Hmm.
And yeah, as an attempt to control
Right.
ultimately. We need to
Speaking,
see that. Mhm.
very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Speaking of control, uh, we humans are easily controlled when we fall into the emotional trap.
Hmm.
And this is
Yes.
what what we see. And if we all and our listeners too, I'd love to invite you right now to just take a moment and think. Please, if you want to, you can pause this for 10 seconds and just think of the last moment that where you have been um, over over overwhelmed by emotions just watching the news and
Hmm.
I'm or listening to the news. I'm sure it wasn't too long ago. And when we are over surrounded and overthrown by our own internal emotions, we usually don't make good decisions.
Correct. Thank you for that reminder
Mm,
again, because I feel whiplashed by the news, by all the information that we're bombarded with. It's just a lot of tragedies
mm,
and horrors, and I don't know where to direct my attention. I feel helpless. So that's an emotion that's very common these days for a lot of people. So what's important to do is really to stay grounded, to take some distance. Doesn't mean we stop caring,
mm,
but we have to say, hey, wait a minute. I can't absorb all of this. I need
exactly.
to ground myself in order to think rationally, because
Mm,
rationally, as opposed to logically, right? These are two different things. You can be logical if you're in a regime that aims to oppress people. Well, they are inferior, therefore I should remove rights from them. That's a logical reasoning, right? But it's not rational
no.
because people are not inferior. So again, people cling sometimes to their logical thinking. I'm a very logical person.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, but it can be completely irrational.
Yes.
So let's step out of that again, illogic versus logic,
Mm,
and be grounded and look at the situation with total awareness and realize that information is not the truth necessarily, and information is not our wisdom. So if we want to listen to our wisdom to know what to do next, we need to turn off the volume of the information that can be distorted, that can be overwhelming.
Hmm.
Because, like you said, we can't really reason or think clearly, right? When we're bombarded, we're in a fear response. So we need to make everything we can to not be in a fear response
Hmm.
in order to think clearly.
Yes, wonderfully said. And I'd I'd like to come with another reminder, and two actually. Um, just think of the business model of media. Well, let's
Mm-hmm.
start there. Uh, Bad news is good news, and somehow, psychologically, we tend to click on negative headlines more often than we
Yeah.
do on positive headlines. And this is our drama-loving brain that
Mm-hmm.
that does that lets us click on that, and the media
Mm-hmm.
and the the advertisement industry. No, that's not the name. What is it again? Marketing industry. Well, they know that, of course.
Yeah.
They've known that for I don't know, a hundred years or even longer,
Mm-hmm.
and they use that in
Right.
order to get our attention and to sell clicks and to sell
Mm-hmm.
impressions, and that's it. So, reminder number one. Reminder number two, what you already mentioned, question everything. And we've
Mm-hmm.
had that in previous episodes, right? When we
Yes.
invited our listeners to actually step on the brake of life,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
take it two or three steps backwards, and just look at the big picture. And what is it I'm seeing here? What is my truth in here?
Mm-hmm. I love
And
it.
and that lets us step away from our emotional response, which is that what we are triggered to, what whoever is benefiting from it wants us to do. But as long as we don't do that, as long as we step on the brake, step two,
Mm-hmm.
three, take two, three steps back, we are not engaging in their game,
Correct.
wherever there is.
Yes, we preserve our energies. I love your reminders, Christopher. And you are right that we tend to focus on the negative. This is the negativity bias that we
Mm,
already talked about in previous podcast episodes, right? Our brain, our reptilian brain, is wired in such a way that we
mm,
are looking out for any signs of threats. So, whatever is negative in the news could be important information, potentially, to help us protect ourselves. But we have to, again, appraise that with some form of rationality and realizing that, yeah, this is the way corporations try to manipulate us, and
right.
people compete for our attention nowadays. That's the most important currency, even more than our money. It's
Hmm.
our attention. So we have to protect our energies and our attention and direct that to trustworthy sources, and also dedicate that to our own inner silence, giving
Hmm.
ourselves the permission to not have any thoughts, not have any opinion every single second of the day, and just sweep our minds, do a mental sweeping so we can see clearly, so we can appraise whatever is coming at us critically.
Hmm.
That's so important to do that little ground zero kind of process
Yeah.
repeatedly. Yes. Yes.
And I've um, I've heard of people that actually have found themselves in a group of how do I say this without being um, political? Um, and let's you know what? Let's just hop over this. I apologize. We will skip that anyway.
Okay.
What I wanted to say it's that it's okay to look over your past decisions and see
Mhm,
that maybe I could step back there and maybe I could take another turn and
mhm.
turn to the good instead,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Mhm,
This is not against
mhm.
we against each other. Well, there are we all have the same values, don't we? Or at least the same. We all want to live in peace. We all want to live a wealthy and healthy life, don't we?
Yes.
We all want to be loved by the
Mhm.
people around us and love ourselves. We all need that. It's that freaking simple. And
Yeah.
if we can see that, and if we
Mhm.
can remind ourselves, then we are much more overseeing with the faults of the other side, or if whether they're Republican or Democrat or black or white or immigrants or
Mhm.
natives, or it doesn't care. It doesn't matter because uh, it's just a part of this division thing, right? And when we remind ourselves that we have the same goals in our lives,
Mhm.
basically, and
Yes.
then what are we fighting over?
Yeah, so what you're saying, Christopher, is like we're all fundamentally the same, and
Mm,
we all fundamentally want the same out of life. However, those divisions are illusions, right? We think we want this. We think we need to fight that bad guy, blah, blah, blah.
mm,
We think they're wrong. We think they're right. And actually, people, even if put in front of the evidence of the contrary, have a really hard time letting go of
mm,
their delusion, of their opinion, because there's this loyalty to or attachment to the opinion itself. And again, that's the ego's work here, right? But we have to realize, yes, we have to repeat what you just said constantly. We want the same, we are the same. But also, we have to tell ourselves that admitting that we're wrong is actually wonderful news because that means we are learning,
mm,
right? Because then if there's a gap between where I am and where the truth is, it's like, oh my gosh, I can see, I can make that leap and progress.
mm,
I can, use a very simple example. Just like you, I'm learning, foreign languages, and I started doing Duolingo again after many years. One of my sons
mm,
had signed me up many years ago, and I reconnected with that, and it was so fun. I thought at first, oh, that's easy. I had almost a perfect score. Then I started making mistakes, and then, but instead of having my ego telling me, "Oh, you're so bad at this," I'm like, "Wow, this is great," because I know that I'm learning. I'm not stagnating. You can have 100%, but not make
mm.
any progress. You know what I mean? Because you're
Yes.
just an echo chamber of your own already acquired knowledge. I don't want that. I want to see that I make mistakes because that means I'm moving forward. I can
Hmm.
see my steps towards the right answer, the correct
Right.
pronunciation, etc. Same with our political beliefs, religious beliefs,
Hmm.
whatever beliefs, opinions. That's a great sign. That's a sign of evolution. That's a sign of intelligence. To be
Yes.
able to let go of rigid thinking, to be able to keep an open mind.
Hmm. And wonderful. And then this openness can actually be a very good start for talking to people that have a different opinion than you, that are political adversaries. Um,
Mhm.
this is my world. What does your world look like?
Mhm.
Question instead of hammering with argumentations. This is like
Yes.
that. This is like that. You people are those, and
Mhm.
like communists and socialists, and it's
Yes, all the
again
isms.
division. Yeah,
I know. It was very, for
liberals. I
me,
forgot liberals.
the liberals. I mean, for me, it's like, I don't really think that way. right? Because let's
Mm.
say someone would say some, I will say an opinion, and someone will say like, well, therefore you're this. I'm like, what? What do you mean? So people would make these reductionistic comments, like what I call package thinking. Oh, if you think
Mm-hmm.
this, that means you're that. And like, what? It's like I'm so puzzled by this because yeah, I would watch movies and they would associate like communism with atheism, for instance, and like
Mm-hmm.
and a specific color, rojo, or and I was like, what is that? I was so puzzled
Right.
by that. It's like, but people can have all kinds of beliefs or attitudes or choices that belong to various categories, but people
Mm.
like to simplify that. Like you said, it's like probably the path of least resistance or energy saving path. We
Mm.
package things into as few categories as possible, but there are actually as many categories as there are people on this planet,
Exact.
right?
Exactly. Thank you for this. Yeah. And what we also tend to forget sometimes when we take our rights for whatever, our rights stop where it interferes with other people's rights, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's this boundary, and
Yeah.
if I take my right for freedom, that's I think it's in the Constitution, is it?
Mm-hmm.
We have all, well, forget Constitution. We all
Yeah.
have our personal right to have freedom,
Mm-hmm.
freedom of speech,
Yeah.
freedom of expression, freedom of whatever.
Yeah.
So if I want to have my freedom, but I have to take some other person's freedom away for my freedom, then something
Mhm.
is wrong. And then
Yeah.
then the whole society does not work any longer.
No,
Uh,
it's not sustainable, right? Mm-hmm.
right. And that's where we have friction,
Yeah.
and that's where division starts.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
well, it's it's totally okay to have your own freedom, but it's
Mhm.
as okay to give this freedom, to grant this freedom to the people around you, and that's important.
Yes, I think applying this principle blindly, like, oh, I am free, and it's thinking you're free to do whatever you want to anyone you want, that's not it. It's like
Hmm.
freedom with awareness. Because if we have that exercise, that right of freedom with awareness, then we'll have compassion and we'll care about others and we won't
Hmm.
do to them what we don't want done to us, right?
Right.
So I think the rights, there are rights and there are pseudo rights. For me, the rights are like the fundamental human rights, which means,
Hmm.
you have the right to be safe, to exercise your spirituality. You have the right to your opinions. You have the right to, of course, to be loved, to love. But there are other secondary rights that have been created to justify those divisions, I think, right? But then,
Hmm.
like you said, if we don't have the awareness of other people's rights too, then that's kind of, it's not right. It's like dictatorship. It's like egocentrism. It's just, so we need to go to the basics. We've created so many layers of complicatedness in
Hmm.
our world, right? We have to just go ground zero. It's like, okay, what fundamentally do we want? We want to be seen, loved, accepted,
Hmm.
respected. Yeah, without having to ask permission.
Right. And there's when I um, long ago, so some years ago, I learned this. I don't know if it's a quote, but pressure creates counter pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I learned that when I had horses, and so this is so important to understand. The more pressure I create, the more counter pressure I create,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that's again going into this freedom and
Yeah.
boundaries, what I just mentioned before. So when you just
Mm-hmm.
had an idea,
Yeah, yeah, well, I'll keep it. Go
go
ahead.
go go forward.
No, but what you're saying is a beautiful illustration of what happens in debates. Someone
Yes.
forcefully presents their opinion, the other will react as
Hmm.
forcefully. Bang, bang, bang. We butt heads. We just like, is there a resolution? Is there something integrative, constructive
Hmm.
happening? No, we're stuck. We are stuck. There's no movement, right? So yeah, pressure, counter pressure. I think it's a perfect example.
Yeah,
it just illustrates the binarism. There's a category, there's another one that will,
exactly. Yes.
arise.
And this is the drama we like, right? When they're having a talk show or um,
Mhm.
a TV show, we love seeing people argumenting against each other and going crazy against each other, just for us
Mhm.
to watch, and that's what keeps
Right.
the numbers up, right? Um,
Yes.
what was the other thought I just had? Oh, my tombola brain. Um, well, it maybe it comes back. Oh yeah, here it is again. The um, we usually find ourselves that we are fighting against something all the time,
Yeah.
against the opposition, against the opponent, against this group or that group, or against I don't know, the neighbor, the
Yeah.
whatever. So I just have this picture in mind where where a heated discussion over politics suddenly takes a turn when
Mhm.
one of the guys just gives the other one a hug and said,
Ooh.
"I understand you, and it's okay. Tell me more."
Uh-huh.
And
Wow.
and then
Yeah.
these, you drop your weapons, your mental
Mhm.
weapons,
Right. Mhm.
right away, right? Because there's no pressure anymore. There's understanding. You open a door. Come and see
Mhm.
my world,
Yeah.
and let me
Yeah.
know about your world, and that's wonderful. And then we come from fighting against something
Yeah.
to not even fighting. What's a better word? Fighting for something, uh,
Yeah.
finding other people to strive for
Right.
more freedom, more,
Yes.
yeah,
It
a better
becomes,
world.
yeah, no longer a confrontation, but like advocacy or synergy,
Hmm.
from confrontation to synergy. Yes, I like this. Not fighting against, but working towards or working for something, right? So it's a totally different
Hmm.
dynamic and way more promising and
Right.
sustainable, right? Because the being against each other is just solidifying
Hmm.
positions, and
Exactly.
it's crystallizing, it's not moving, it's like we're stuck again, so there's no change to the problems,
Right.
it's just, yeah.
And maybe suddenly we realize that we actually have the same idea. We have the same goals,
Hmm.
even though one is, I don't know, Democrat and the other one is Republican.
Hmm.
But actually, we both want the nation to thrive.
Hmm.
We both want
Yeah.
uh, a functional healthcare system. We all want good schools.
Hmm.
What so? That's nothing
Hmm.
that it should be even in question, right? How
I
can we
think,
be divided about that?
yeah, I think some leaders portray their, I mean, based on what they, based on their decision, it seems like what they want is everything for themselves only.
Hmm.
And I think that means, to me, the way I interpret that is like they're completely unaware of their real needs, which is what you're pointing at, or real wants. What they want is they want security, they want
Hmm.
reassurance about their value, maybe their own self-worth, but it's so extreme, that need, that they could take it to a level where they will put themselves in a powerful, intimidating position, and yeah, in an attempt to compensate for that feeling that's
Hmm.
unbearable, because it means being vulnerable, right? When you want
Right.
something, yeah, you're vulnerable. So I think it boils down to ultimately fear of death. I think all fears for me
Yeah.
goes to the fear of death, or fear of our own mortality. So people create an illusion of immortality by accumulating wealth, for instance, or power.
Hmm.
So I think it's important to look at that. And unfortunately, some people are not conscious. They don't do that. They're not willing to go there. But that just creates so much damage, as you know.
Right.
But yeah, we should all realize that we're all screaming infants at the, deep down, and we just want to be held.
Yeah. Just imagine that. Next time we are in a discussion about politics and on, I don't know, at the dinner table, why not
Yeah.
just remember that the guy on the other side of the table screaming and shouting
Mhm.
actually
Yeah.
wants wants to be seen and
Mhm.
loved and
Yeah.
maybe a hug.
Yeah.
It sounds it's not something that we remember in while we're in the in that discussion, while we're enraged, while we're full of
Mhm.
emotions, negative emotions. Um, but that's why we before would like to encourage
Mhm.
everyone to, just step back a
Right.
moment and what is it that's really happening? Not that what I want to see, what I want to hear, but what's really the basics.
Right. And I think
Wonderful.
we can do that, Christopher, in our heads, right? Mentally, internally, without necessarily doing that. Because if someone is so, deeply anchored in their
Hmm.
delusional beliefs and thinking everyone is a threat, I think that would be even dangerous to try to hug them in real life, right? But in
Yeah.
our minds, in our hearts, if we can hold people, and I know it can be hard, right?
Mm,
When people do damage, but trying to hold them in a way or envelope them and send them compassion,
mhm.
maybe that could do something, from a quantum physics perspective, because I'm reading about that these days and it's fascinating. But
Yeah.
the way we look at things can affect the behavior of particles.
Mhm.
So just changing the way we perceive, just broadening a little bit our
Mhm.
perspective and telling ourselves that, yeah, these people, they're doing, let's say, something really damaging right now or outrageous, and they're doing that from a place of suffering. So how
Right.
can we go to that root cause and help
Mhm.
them while
Right.
protecting ourselves? Why not
And
putting ourselves more vulnerable?
and give them the feeling that they're understood, that we really care.
Hmm.
Whatever opinion they may have, it usually comes from a from a wound where these
Yes,
people are wounded somehow.
yes, and they're clinging onto a political belief, for instance.
Mhm.
It's like I'm clinging it with as if I were clinging on my dear life. What? But yeah, people, again, that's an illusion. When we identify with our opinions, we think we are them. So therefore, if we let them go,
Right.
we're gone. No, let's say like you follow a team or a sports, like football in Europe,
Mhm.
right, or soccer or whatever, and you have your favorite team. Let's say you heard your team like did something really, really morally reprehensible. Let's say
Mhm.
engaging in something really harmful for others. Let's say for children. Would you continue to support that team? I mean, I wouldn't. I would say that's it. I'm boycotting. It's like, but that wouldn't take my own identity away from me, right? It's
Yeah,
like
right.
same
We are
for
not that.
an opinion, for following a specific political
Mm.
party. I mean, we have to question those allegiances and loyalties we tend to have so blindly.
Here's another thought. We're many countries are ruled by uh, old white men.
Mm, hmm.
Do we all feel that they're representative for us?
No, as you
And
know, right?
oh, let me add something. Most of them are pretty rich.
Yeah, rich old white man. Okay, that's a pattern,
It's
for
a
sure.
disaster
It's
waiting to happen, right? So
yeah,
then
it's
here's another thought. Cui
mhm.
bono, who's benefiting from this? What happens?
yeah, the old white rich men
Mm-hmm.
again, right? Where it's the shift is very slow to happen, but we
Mm-hmm.
see, yeah, there are more women in politics, or people from maybe non-binary gender, um, for instance, and people who are not categorized as white. So there are more
Mm-hmm.
people, more diversity, but it's slow. Obviously, it's still very slow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe we should start discussing if we need different political systems uh,
Mm-hmm.
that would allow younger people to have a voice in the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
that have an easier time to come up and not
Right.
being pushed down by those who already have the power up there.
Yeah, so revising how the structures are developed and the parliaments and whatnot. Yeah, how to give more people a voice. I like that. I think it's
Mm.
something that's really dear to my heart.
Right. And
Reclaiming our own voice and having a space to express it.
mhm. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree that might be some years away from today.
Yeah, we
However,
can plant the seed.
yeah, let's find something more positive to towards the end here. Uh,
Mhm.
what what can we what tips and um
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
brain uh,
Take away messages. Yeah.
yeah, what ideas can we give our audience to preserve their own sanity and
Hmm.
energy, positive energy, looking
I like
forward?
that. I have a couple of ideas, and we already touched upon that. But I
Hmm.
think staying grounded whenever you can, remind yourself to bring yourself back in the moment so that you can think about whatever is thrown at you with clarity and create some distance. It's important to avoid being in a space of terror. Sometimes it will be, and it's appropriate to be scared because we need to take action. There's real danger. But most of the time in our homes, generally we're safe, or there are multiple occasions during the day when we're safe. So we should just notice that and
Hmm.
remind ourselves that we're okay, bringing ourselves like in the space of low reactivity, right? So
Right.
to not exhaust our energies, to not be in a fear response. So I think it's important to ground ourselves to avoid being terrorized. So find any mini escapes, whether it's reading a book, journaling, calling a friend, walking in nature, that you can, any
Hmm.
respite that you can from everything that's happening, all the dramas in the world. And also starting to observe. Observe. Are you tempted to click on that news versus that
Hmm.
podcast, the Dandelion Reflections, that's really positive? you know,
Okay. Okay.
you might
Right.
want to observe your patterns here, and
Hmm.
you can shift that. And notice how you tend to cling to your opinions. When your opinions are challenged by others, do you become defensive or open minded? Just observe, just
Yeah.
gather data about how you function. That would be a really interesting experiment.
Right. And
That's these
question.
my ideas. How about yours?
Yeah. My wonderful ideas. Really, really important. This I can absolutely sign under each one of them, and I love the idea of nature as a
Mhm.
in ways of grounding ourselves instead of doom scrolling. Just take a
Yes.
walk. If it 5 minutes,
Yes.
wonderful. Go outside, hug a
Hmm.
tree, hug a big rock, and they've been around so many, many more years than most of us, and there's
Yes.
wisdom in there. And I actually
Right.
mean that. Sounds crazy, but it is. I'm sure it is.
It is true. Ancestral wisdom in the trees. Yeah.
Right.
In nature, in rocks.
Right. And then be open to question and
Yeah.
be open to being questioned and remind yourself that we all are living beings that want to be nurtured, that want to be loved, that want to love. And that's
Yes.
it. That's it.
That's it. Yes.
Everything else is, as you said in the beginning, everything else is just made up our
Mhm.
mind.
Yeah. It's a fabrication of our egos, as we
Right.
said. On various occasions. That's correct. So,
And
what
where
is
we've
real for you? Yeah.
exactly. And what is real is the connection,
Mm-hmm.
connection over political parties,
Yeah.
connection over skin color or
Mm-hmm.
sexual orientation or you name it.
Yes.
That's not important. The important thing is the direct connection between the
Yeah.
people.
Beautiful. We all are interconnected. This is one of my deepest truths, and
Yes.
I try to live it. Yeah. Thank
Wonderful.
you, Christopher, for such a wonderful, enlightening exchange as usual.
It became wonderful because of you, even today.
Oh, right back at you, my friend.
And
Thank you.
if you out there, if you would like to add something, any ideas or thoughts or comments, we'd love to read them down
Yes.
below. And if you think anyone else besides you could have um, any positive insights from our chat today, then feel free to share it.
Yes, thank you, everyone. We seek to expand what we do, and this is the goal of this podcast. It's helping us transcend
Right.
whatever is challenging in our lives in order to be more resilient. So, thank you
Wonderful.
for your comments. We appreciate them.
Yes. And thanks for listening and staying with us for such a long time of your day.
Yes, thank you.
And
Have a
oh yeah, a reminder: we're starting to move over or copy the our
yes,
um, episodes to Spotify. So go over
yes.
to Spotify. You can listen to our episodes there too. And it takes a long time to move them over there, but we're on it.
Thank you, Christopher, for doing this.
Yeah.
And please share with a friend, a loved one, or a colleague.
Right.
Be
Wonderful.
well, everyone.
Yes. Be well. Bye bye.
Thanks for joining us.